Hey Deepak, how are you?
Good. How are you? Glad to have you here.
All well, awesome, super excited to be here.
Yes. So, guys, I hope you have heard about Pepper content and you have heard about Anirudh. Just say hi, Anirudh, in the chat box and welcome him to the webinar. So, we have quite an active community here,
Wow,
my students, and we have more than 120 people live today. So,
brilliant,
glad to see people live even at 9 p.m.
amazing. I think
So, the format of this podcast is just going to be an open flow, and we will just get started with about your story. Just tell us a little bit about when did you graduate, where did you work, and how did you end up in this particular field of work.
totally Deepak. I think it's only you who can get like 120 people on a Saturday night at 9 p.m. So super excited to be here. Uh, quick introduction about me. So I graduated last year out of college from BITS Pilani. Started building out. I just look older. I and started building our company Pepper Content right from the second year of our college at BITS Pilani. So we started in 2017, late 2017. So it's been like crazy 4 years, almost 3.5, 4 years now since we've been scaling up. It's been a phenomenal journey. Uh, I think
So you got right into entrepreneurship.
yeah, right. I think second year of college itself is just, at that time you don't really know a lot about, all these buzzwords that you heard now. You just get into it, and then over time, yeah, right, you just uplearn and upskill yourselves. And I think that's what happened with us. I was always a very good writer. I used to love reading a lot of books. I used to reach out to all these media houses like Times, Hindu, all of these, to freelance or to write with them or to intern with them. None of them took me in. Creative professions have never been considered a primary profession. It's
True.
always a secondary or a tertiary. And back then, what I did was I started reaching out to Your Story, which was an up and coming media platform. And I somehow wanted to intern after my first year of college there. And I ended up cold emailing about 5-7 of the top executives 5-7 times each. I got so frustrated. Finally, Shraddha said, "Okay, you come to Bangalore," and that's how I landed up my first internship. Pure persistence of cold emailing a lot of these people.
Very good.
And it's an interesting time for me, 2017 summer, because I somehow had to figure out how to finance my next semester education at BITS Pilani. A very interesting times, and that's where, what I used to do was I used to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, freelance from 4 to 9, and 9 to 5 be at Your Story, and then 5 to 12 again freelance. Did this for 2 months consecutively, earned 2.5 lakhs out of
Nice.
freelancing 19 hours a day.
And
And I
what were
think
you freelancing on?
I was freelancing for US based platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, Check, all these platforms,
Hmm.
to write, do assignments for students out there. It's crazy. And earning that, just I think it just told me two things: how persistence always compounds, and how as a country in India there is such a massive creative potential. And I'm still surprised why no one has such a huge business out of just freelancing overall. And more people, and this was an interesting time in India, right? Online marketing was starting to kick in. More and more brands were turning digital, understood the power of content there. The geo effect was kicking in, and very exciting times. And that's why we felt right to build a content marketplace. And today, at Pepper, we're building the world's largest content marketplace, where I think over 45,000 freelancers have applied to be part of Pepper, of
Nice.
which we work with the top 10% talent. It's a high quality pool of creators we work with. On the other side, we work with some 850 plus brands. Today, we're working with Amazon, Adobe, Facebook, Google, Swiggy, HDFC, SBI,
And
Apollo.
and these companies are international companies trying to
A lot
get
of them are
content.
global companies also. So we're working across each and every segment.
Fantastic. So the inspiration for creating a content marketplace and not a marketplace for design and all other
Right.
freelancing work, what was the decision driving that?
So initially it was, because I understood writing, but today at Pepper, we started with content writing. Today we're also expanding across graphic design, language, which is the translation part.
Mm,
Over soon, we'll also go into video and other such segments.
mm,
And over time, plan is to start with content and expand across each and every marketing aspect also
mm,
long term.
mm,
And point is, what we're doing is we're enabling access to high quality talent on demand
mm,
across each and every segment.
mm, mm,
And we generate micro employment opportunities. Like, super happy to share that till date Pepper has generated over 6.5 crores worth of earnings for freelancers,
nice, nice.
and huge amount. And we lot of people, they're paying their college education, financing all of that on the freelancing side. So I think it's very happy and very heartening to see how we've been able to build such massive impact around creators.
Mm, mm,
Like today, on a daily basis, organically, we have 300, 400 people applying through very long drawn forms that we have on
mm.
a website. And that's super, super nice to see how the
And
freelancing is.
especially during the lockdown, people would prefer working from home and
Exactly.
something like content creation and creative
Yeah.
services rather than going out and working somewhere.
Yeah. And Deepak, this trend will grow, right? Because the more digital we are going, right? Creative
Yeah.
professionals, people want to do things on their own time.
Yes, yes.
And they want to choose to be able to work on what they want to.
Mm.
And, if platforms like Pepper succeed, right, there's just more and more meaningful opportunities for creators like these who would want
Yes.
to rather do.
And you are growing the entire ecosystem. That
Yes.
is. Mhm.
Long term, yes. That's
Mhm.
what the aim is. And yeah, I think teams doing a great effort in being able to pull this through.
So what's the inspiration behind the word pepper? Why pepper
Very,
content?
very interestingly, I was speaking with Raj recently, and he was asking me the same thing. And I remember telling him, when we starting Pepper, I had written this entire Google Doc about what it is supposed to be. It's just, and I wrote Pepper, and uske samne I wrote, we'll find a better name if we, and
Okay.
you never do. It just keeps sticking on. I
Yeah.
think for me, the biggest inspiration was, right, companies like Apple, Mango, all these big companies, simple names, right? One, obviously simple, easy to pronounce, and second, can you create a brand out of a very common name?
Yeah.
Like if I say Apple, you won't think about the
Think
fruit,
about Apple.
the brand.
Yeah.
That we want Pepper to be. And for a brief time, when there's a lot of PR around us, when someone was typing in Pepper,
Mm.
we were at the first from an SEO ranking. And I think
Nice,
those
nice.
are small happiness
Mhm.
moments.
Mm.
But I
Nice.
think long term we would want Pepper to be associated with anything, everything freelance creator,
Mm.
uh, and I think and content.
Mhm. So you said you have like 45,000 users on the platform. So how did you go about recruiting them? Did you run ads or what
Yeah.
kind of campaigns did you do from a marketing angle?
Right. So very interestingly, Deepak, till date we haven't done any single marketing campaign for attracting freelancers.
Okay.
All of that has been organic, driven through strong word of mouth.
Mm.
uh, I remember initially what we used to do was, there's a lot of this Facebook group activity that used to happen,
Mm.
where we used to take out applications and hundreds of people used to apply. And it was very surprising for us, because and that's what just made us realize that there's just so many people across. There's a lack of work, and that's
Okay.
why, right, a lot of focus has to be towards driving a lot of demand.
Mm. Mm.
And today, as word of mouth grew and other things, I get messages from very distant cousins, relatives, that they know about Pepper and they want to freelance and other such things, and I don't even know how it got there. So I think it's just a good virality loop right now,
Yes,
and
yes.
growing faster.
Fantastic. So in terms of like finding a co-founder, like, after your story stint,
Yeah.
like how did the idea like, come along that, okay, let's set up a company? Because see, I have worked like in 5 different startups. I ran a motorcycle blog for 4 years. Then I worked in like 5, 6 different startups. And then it took like a while to take off. Like, you take off a little bit and then you crash, and then you take off a little bit, then you crash. So at least, I think 2008 I graduated. So it has been like almost 13 years since my graduation. Almost like a decade later is when, entrepreneurship is like really working for me. So how did it happen? I know there is a lot of serendipity involved, but there'll also be like, dips or uncertain times or tough decisions, talk a little bit about that.
Totally. I think, I think all journeys have their, ups and downs. I like to say that I think being an entrepreneur is like running on a sinusoidal wave. There's ups and downs on a daily basis.
Exactly.
There are days where you might wake up like, you can do anything in the world, versus days where you just don't want to get up. So
Yes.
that's totally there. I think the toughest part, Deepak, was, being in college. You're managing so many things, and how do you make time for what is maybe like a very ambitious side project, to eventually, making very strong choices of pursuing it full time. I think there's obviously a lot of issues that come up. In fact, I still remember in a third year of a college, used to be four co-founders. Two of them wanted to move out because of better career opportunities and prospects. And I and Rishabh, who's my co-founder, we were thinking that, should we sit for placements or not? And these are very real situations. And like for us, both of us took a very hard call after our third year that, we won't sit for placements. And that's when we decided to move to Mumbai. In fact, we got a chance to interview at Y Combinator. We
Okay.
got in for the final round. We went to Bangalore. This is after our third year,
Okay.
in the third year of college, when we got the invite. And Y Combinator is always very selective. We didn't get in at YC, but at that time, coming back from Bangalore airport, that's where we realized, "Yaar, ab to karna hi hai." When we got a rejection, and then we moved to Mumbai. I fondly remember, and this was our fourth year of college. I was 19 then, and we used to live in this flat which was below my grandparents' flat in Navi Mumbai, and we used to work out of this office, come flat, and some customers wanted to come meet us, and a lot of like one time I remember an investor who we were looking out wanted to see where we were working, and we were afraid कि यार कैसे दिखाएं and all of that. And I think it's very interesting, right? By the time we'd crossed our third year of college, we'd already done about 1.25 crores of revenue. And by the time I was, reaching out, seeking our first investors, we had done 1.75 crores of revenue. So in fact, even raising our first round, right, was super tough initially. But then, when you were seeing 19-year-olds with this much revenue at scale, and just, that sheer ability, we were able to onboard very great people on board. In fact, Shraddha is also an investor in Pepper. Kunal Bell, Rohit Bansal from Snapdeal, a lot of these folks. And I think from then on, it's just been a very massive journey. I think a lot of journey of big transformation for us. In fact, when we just signed the term sheet for Lightspeed, which is another partner we have as a VC on Pepper, for some $4.2 million, I and Rishabh were giving our final exams on that day.
Okay.
So we
Nice,
got
nice.
graduated that time. So it's been very crazy journey, very interesting, lot of learnings over time.
Fantastic. So quite a nice journey there, and glad that you were like able to strike gold very early, and you got the right people, and you started getting investors. So tell me a little bit more about this whole the investment scene. You create a company, and what would you advise young startups about the pros and cons of getting investors on board? Some of these investors will be angel investors who would be more like advisors and things like that. Then you eventually get to institutional investors. So at least from my understanding and from my experience, I don't like to be pushed for growth. I like to take it slow in my own way, and not really have I don't think I will have the luxury of time to give updates and reports and things like that. So until now I have not considered it, but what is your take on it, and why would a services platform like Pepper Content, which has huge word of mouth, even would want to take investor money?
No, totally. I think, Deepak, it's a lot to do with the kind of company you want to build. right? Obviously, when there's such a massive market, like one for us for Pepper, right? And often, right, how fast can you grow? The kind of model that Pepper also has today, right, is very unique, very interesting. And at this point, what really determines is how fast are you able to scale up to the market and be one of the top solutions. Like today, Pepper is a market leader in text-based content. We're expanding that across graphic design and language. Like we're India's largest content marketplace already. Uh, what we realized is, sometimes you need a very high quality team, and especially when you're very product and technology focused, right? Hiring is always going to be an issue,
Yeah.
right? Obviously, there's great examples in say Zerodha or Zoho who've been able to build out long-term sustainable businesses, but that was also by choice on the kind. So for me as an entrepreneur, if I know I can say make $100 million revenue company in the next 3 to 5 years faster, as compared to say having to wait it out for 20 years, this is my personal choice of having to do that. I think it's also a lot to do with the targets, ambitions you set for yourselves. Like I'm an extremely ambitious person, so for me, goal is, so it's me pushing myself, it's our team pushing ourselves for the growth that we want. And when companies who truly disruptive, who truly are taking very strong growth strides, investor money, all of those things come along.
Yeah. Yeah.
For us also, even our next round after we raised 2.2 crores, we raised some 32 crores. And for us, I think because we were scaling at such a fast pace, there were a lot of offers at our hand at that time. And then we decided to choose the right partner who could help us with say even a global scale and a global vision. So I think often it totally depends on the kind of company you want to build. Both options are feasible options. Obviously, where there's investors, there's also in certain sense obligation. But then it's also the kind of space you're in, right? Like today, ed tech or say healthcare, these so competitive spaces to be in. So I think that's where you need to build out moat. And I think building high quality team, building high quality products using technology, I think these are very strong levers that startups have to adopt to build those moats. And I think Pepper was able to do that very well using this capital. So yeah, I think
Where does most of the capital go in? Like building the platform and marketing it, I believe.
I think it's majorly building technology and product. We have strong marketing channels on our own. Like even if you look across our social channels today, Pepper has over 100,000 followers across channels. Like LinkedIn, some 70,000. YouTube scaling up for us. Digital channels are already high. We invest a lot in product technology and our team. So we want to be the best in terms of being able to create a phenomenal product that involves or that allows creative collaboration to happen at scale. Because what we're trying to build also, right, it isn't the most easiest play, because it comes to content, it's subjective.
Yes.
So in fact, I'd love to share more about this very interesting tool that we built alongside Pepper, where Pepper contents are core business, but we launched this tool called Pepper Type.
Okay.
Which is essentially AI assisted content creation that happens in seconds. So if you log on to peppertype.ai, you'll see essentially it's creating short form content instantly through AI. So blog topic suggestions to tweet ideas to Instagram captions to performance copy. Often digital marketers, right? They're always looking for copywriters at the last moment. And it's always a challenge, right? And essentially tools like these become tools for creators, for marketers to assist them in that process. So think of it as Grammarly, but for maybe content writing in that manner. And it's phenomenal, right? The kind of results it shows. I'm super surprised how it scaled up. In the last 10 days, we earned $35,000 from that tool.
Oh wow, nice.
At that kind of phenomenal scale and
is
growth.
it like a pay-per-use or is it like a SaaS?
It's a SaaS play. So we have like you can buy for $25 per month. Happy to extend special discount codes for all
Awesome.
internship students.
So Smita is saying, I have used your tool and it is truly amazing.
Wow, wonderful. Oh,
We already have a user from our community.
awesome. So I think it's doing pretty well. And I think, Deepak, long term, the next 10 years for content, even as a space for marketing, as a space is going to be coupled with technology, right? And marketing technology have to grow hand in hand, and especially content, right? what content was 4 years back versus what it is today is just so, it's massive difference. And if content's X today, in the next 10 years is going to be 100X. And that's why you need platforms like Pepper, where you're able to, spawn a new generation of creators or give them micro employment opportunities. Like I love what you do, where, you're upskilling. Long term, we also have very strong plans to, be able to upskill creators in content creation across writing,
Yes.
design.
It's two sides of the same coin. You
Exactly.
upskill and then you give them opportunities.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So overall, like in such a tough competitive market where you have the Upworks of the world, I think Upwork was basically like a consolidation phase for a while, right? They acquired Odesk, and then you have Fiverr. So what do you think is like the differentiating thing that why would companies approach Pepper Content? Is it because Pepper Content has better freelancers who provide better quality services, or is it because you have got the sales channel and the B2B side of sales in a particular way? So what do you think is your USP compared to Upwork?
I think Upwork, Fiverr, they're doing 20 things at once. We're just doing content. So I
Yes.
think focus is very critical. And I think that's where, we know content in itself is such a massive market. So Deepak, for the last 3.5, 4 years now, we just did text, which is writing, for about 2.5, 3 years. We didn't go into anything else. We built a very deep vertical marketplace. Now, as we are expanding across text, design, language, video, and other such segments over time. So focus is critical. I think one thing that worked out really well for us is our ability to focus a lot on quality of creators. So like unlike Upwork or Fiverr, we're a very managed marketplace. It's not an open marketplace, so not anyone can get in. So essentially, even when I say 45,000 people have applied to be part of Pepper, we work only with the top 10% talent. So we're very selective with who we get on board.
So you approve them on the platform and then they can bid on projects.
So
do they bid on projects, or
so very
you
different
control
model.
the price?
So very different model for us. One thing I hated as a freelancer is, why do I bid for projects, right? I always have to price myself ridiculously low to get projects, and that does not make sense.
Yes.
And we felt that once we want to create a meritocratic platform where anyone who has merit, right, they can become part of the platform. And in our case, it happens very interestingly. So we don't directly connect buyers and sellers on the platform. Businesses come to us, tell us what they need, when do they need it by. We match those opportunities with best fit creators in an almost Uber like manner. So how in an Uber top opportunities float down and they can choose to accept it or reject it. We believe creators should have the choice to accept opportunities or reject them if they don't match their criteria. And once they do that, they have tools on the platform to create that content. And the best thing is, we have pre-negotiated prices with like creators that we agree with. So we don't take any creator earnings or any percentages from them, nor do we charge them for giving them work. So I think it becomes
go ahead. I will ask the question later.
So all in all, it becomes a very win-win play for both creators as well as Pepper.
Yeah, one thing I've always wondered, how does the invoicing work? So let's say a client purchases content for 1 lakh plus GST, he would be paying 1,18,000. Do you settle the entire 1,18,000 to the creator and let them raise a GST invoice to you, or do you deduct the GST component and just transfer the earnings to them?
Right. So usually GST comes in when creators have companies of their own. Most of them are individual contractor agreements that we have. So we mostly deduct TDS from creators. That's pretty much it. We charge companies, so we upsell on whatever we charge creators. So essentially,
but you are supposed to charge GST. You cannot do it like a marketplace. Yeah, through companies. Yes.
Two companies. Yes, definitely. With creators, there's no need. But if a creator is, say, an agency or a micro agency, or they have a registered company,
then you can give them input credit.
Yeah, we're happy to give them input credit.
This, I think it's a little bit discouraging with the whole taxation system, especially in India, where it kind of adds a friction to the entire process, right?
Yeah, I think for freelancers, we want to make it as simple for them to be on the platform. So, none of our creators have to go through those tiresome issues of other things. So for even the TDS deduction that we do, right, creators over time, if they want us to give 3-day certificates to them, we can do that
Yeah,
and
yeah.
make life easy. So for us, the easiest thing is, and we have fixed payment cycles and payout cycles. So creators don't need to worry about, whether it's going to come or not. In fact, over the last few years, Pepper's not had single cases of, a lot of creators in other places where they feel cheated and other things. So we're very particular about being a very
Yes,
creator first
building
place.
that trust is very important.
Is very critical, and that's why people continue to come to Pepper, and that's why we've been able to scale also. I think for us, creators are the primary reason why we've been able to grow so fast.
Fantastic. So do the creators know how much the company is paying or who the company is?
So not in all cases, because that's the dynamic and nature of the business we are at. But often they know the kind of companies they're already engaging on.
Yeah.
Now most of the content that's created is company's IP. So today, a creator who's earning with us, in most cases, over time we're trying to figure out a way where can we start giving credit to creators in terms of their bylines and other things. So we want to enable those options over time as we grow bigger and better.
Very interesting. So I think I have pretty much covered all the questions I had in mind, but we can now go for the audience questions. So guys, if you have any questions about entrepreneurship or freelancing and content, if anybody here wants to become part of Pepper Content and wants to become a freelancer on their platform, so anything you can ask, and I will just pick out the questions and read it out for you. So Yogesh is asking, what are the quality parameters for the content?
Right. So, we use a lot of tools around on the platform, things like Grammarly, Copyscape for other such initiatives. So we make sure that the tonality is in place, grammar and structure is in place. All this brief adherence, plagiarism is all less than 5% or almost negligible. So there's a lot of parameters like this that we index on whenever we're checking for quality. We also have a review layer in between that makes sure that the quality of the content that's going to the customer matches the description and the brief that they're giving us.
Got it. Awesome. So can we become part of the platform, and how do we get accepted in the platform?
Totally, I think you can definitely become part of the platform. In fact, what I'll do is I'll quickly just send you guys a link on how you can join as a creator.
You can also share your screen and maybe walk people through if it is possible right now.
Yeah, I can quickly do that. So you guys can see my screen.
Yep.
Yeah. So essentially, think of it as if you go on a website today. In fact, we're in the process of revamping our website, where essentially creators can come join Pepper. So there's this part where for creators. So if you click for creators here, you get directed to this landing page where you can join as a freelancer and join as a creator. We, like I said, right, we always treat our creators more as partners than just more of what industries look at vendors. Once you join as a creator, you can sign up and sign in with your email IDs. Once you do that, I already have multiple accounts logged in, so sorry I can't show signing up. But essentially, you'll be able to quickly, it'll require some details from your end around basic information as your resume, industries, content types that you're proficient in. Once you do that, there's a basic grammar test to evaluate for your language proficiency. Once you pass that, and there's a certain benchmark after clearance, post that you need to do a copy test, where it's a very short test and it's across very different segments. So if you choose a particular industry or a particular content type, you can accordingly give like a micro test for that. That just helps us evaluate your writing style much better. It usually takes us 2 to 3 weeks to get back. Nowadays we've started to get back within 2 to 3 days itself. And because the volume of application is so high, so we just spend good time evaluating each application. And once that you're into the platform, and you can start accepting assignments. And in fact, we have WhatsApp notifications enabled also. So the moment you're into the platform, if an opportunity comes, you'll get a WhatsApp update from Pepper saying, this is the opportunity, this is what it's going to cost, like the price of this content piece, would you want to accept? And that's essentially us taking it to the creators.
Interesting. So next question we have from Dinesh K. So how do you check for plagiarism and PLR content? That
Yeah.
if people just copy paste content and submit.
Yeah. No, so we're very particular about that. We have a strict anti-plagiarism policy before creators also get on board. We have tools on the platform like Copyscape, Turnitin, and other such tools, which are highly industry credited tools, which are industry standard for this. If we identify plagiarism and it goes beyond certain parts, we then start banning writers from the platform also. So we're very strict around those things.
Got it. Got it. So if you see any question that you want to answer also, you can pick it up. We have a bunch on the chat box. So these type of the content is mostly like articles for blog posts, or does it include social media content, other
So
types
it's
of?
across all segments, right? It's blog posts, it's social media copy, it is push notifications. We're translating websites into 45 global languages, all Indian and foreign languages. So it's
Nice.
across
Nice.
different spectrums.
Mm.
I think I can pick up one question. Uh, Essentially, how do you yeah, multilingual is a very big play for us. We're literally building out a language category for Pepper where we want to be expanding across each and every language. Yeah, we have a specialized rating system for content creators. So, but an interesting question which can act as a portfolio or social proof for freelancers. I think a wonderful question, Ramya. In fact, we're thinking of something like this super soon, where we're thinking of solutionings where what more value can we add to freelancers? You see, because we're also growing at this pace, sometimes it's not completely possible for us to give work to everyone. And that's why what we're trying to do is building tools on the platform that allow freelancers to manage their own business. You know, a lot of freelancers are working on Google Docs, Sheets, mails. They're always struggling around contracts, invoices, payments, and a lot of these things. I think Deepak, you're part of Razorpay, so you know how Razorpay also focuses a lot on freelancers and other such segments. I think that's a very big market, and we want to, and our creators have those tools on the platform, you know, where they can track payouts, they can track assignment inflows, and so on. So we're thinking of, you know, outsourcing those tools to other creators in an almost freemium kind of where they can run their own businesses independently. Think of it as Shopify for freelancers in certain sense. So thinking of things like that also. So and I think Ramya, very like I said, right, I think we're giving strong thought to thinking of something like a portfolio. Again, still something can't confirm yet. I think major selection for a content writer today is the subject level expertise that they bring in. I think we strongly focus on people who have a niche, you know, because general content writing everyone can do, but you know, you need to be able to build out a niche. I think that's very critical. If a creator is not able to fulfill as you know, client expectations, again, this there can be 2-3 parameters, right? If the customer themselves has not given a good enough brief, so we make sure, you know, that we're then getting the customer to give us detailed briefs, and there's certain iterations that happen. But if a customer's given a flawed brief and the creator's done the best they could, right, we end up then charging the customer and making sure the freelancer is compensated. In certain cases, we have also taken the brunt on us because sometimes the customers didn't act out super well. And guys, I think the moment if the quality does not match the expectation, the quality of the output of the writer could have been much better over time. If it's completely off, then we reject the content piece and there's no payment that happens. So we try to be as fair in terms of the kind of policy we have. I saw one that is Pepper a content mill. No, I think we're not a content mill. For us, I think what's very critical is thinking that long term, you know, how much micro employment opportunities can we create for multiple kind of freelancers. And for us, even if you look at our social channels, right, we just recently did this campaign called the Next Big Creator, where, you know, you see all these folks 30 under 30, 40, all these big people getting those things, and we realized that, you know, how do we get deserving creators chance to get there? So we assembled a very good panel of people like Ankur Wariku, Anuj, Weber, a lot of these folks, and we got them to give entries across each and every nominations. We got over 1500 plus creators who applied, where we chose the top 40-50 people through this jury, and then those creators, we did a lot of workshops around that. So all in all, our focus is a lot towards making sure that we can power India's emerging creator economy. There's so many things to do, and I think there's no one really who's focusing a lot on creators, and that's what we want to build out.
I've had the problem trying to hire content writers. It's a little bit messy when you have to deal with individual freelancers. There needs to be somebody in the middle who can manage the entire relationship, because it's very distributed. And as you said, just like Uber, right? Imagine if there was a decentralized Uber where any driver can be on the platform, and the experience might be very inconsistent. And in some cases, you need centralization, and not everything can be decentralized, right? So that I can completely imagine. So what is preventing your customers, if they identify, okay, this is the content writer who is writing for us, to bypass you and working with them directly?
So because Deepak, on the platform, there's no real way to know who's writing for you.
Okay.
We write some details. So they're like the writers working about these things, or they have this 6 years, but there's no direct means of connecting.
Okay.
That way we're able to prevent leakage. But
that's the biggest challenge with Upwork and Fiverr, right? They literally say that, hey, it's illegal or violating the terms and conditions. And if you are messaging the person directly, and if you are entering even the word email or the email ID, they'll be like, no, don't enter that. So that kind of becomes messy for freelancing platforms. But so you are basically like a content agency, but like a decentralized content agency. Instead of having full-time employees in your organization, you are having like approved freelancers who are on the platform and scaling it that way.
I think, Deepak, I wouldn't call ourselves a content agency here, because the moment you say an agency, it's immediately in-house people.
Yes.
You're trying to do it at, for us, I think I'd say we're a full stack marketplace platform where essentially for a customer, what we're powering is an ability to order content online. If I quickly just share my screen and take you through a very phenomenal product we're
from
building.
the B2B side, also you can show us. In fact, one of our team members has ordered some content from Pepper Content already.
Oh, wow.
And it was for a review website, for an affiliate website that we have set up recently. And I think he got even 2 articles delivered. I did not focus completely on what exactly he did, but he got it from Pepper Content.
Amazing. So essentially, if you look at our website also, right? Essentially, what we're pioneering as a concept, Deepak, is can you order content online like e-commerce? Can you order a blog post or a social media post or any email or design?
Are you aware of constantcontent.com?
Yeah.
So my brother used to write for Constant Content, and as soon as he submitted the article, it would be there. And if somebody purchased the article, he would get paid. I think he made some $1,000 back in the days, long back, using Constant Content. So is it something like that you are saying?
It's not exactly like that. So essentially what happens is, I'll quickly take you through it, right? If you essentially go click get started and you choose a content category, you can choose, say, blogs. Choose blogs, you choose industry.
Is it Typeform or is it inspired?
It's right now integrated with Typeform. Over time, we're building our own, functioning. Perks.
It's so crazy how nobody is able to replace Typeform, right?
I think it's very well integrated. So you get an estimate. Once you get an estimate, you can click and get in and sign in. And essentially, this is what the platform looks like. And where, customers can create a new project. They choose a project, they choose content type, they choose blogs, they can choose an industry, they can choose a skill level. Once that happens, you can say, order a blog. Once you order a blog, then there's prepayment that happens. Once you do that, and then there's detailed briefs that you have to fill in that a customer asks. So we make sure we're getting as much context from the customer. So it's a self-serve platform we built for smaller customers above a certain ticket size. Then we have even a more deeply SaaS integrated platform. So it's a very different approach, Deepak, that we are taking a very product first approach. And long-term view is, as the world becomes more transacting and creators become more independent, right? How can you enable more and more creators to be able to display their talent to a global audience? So long term, we want to take this demand to the US, and we're expanding pretty fast in how we want to scale. And value of content, Deepak, is 7x, 8x outside. Today, what a creator is earning, say 7,000-8,000 per month or 10,000-12,000 per month from India, they can earn 70,000-80,000 from there. And that's what
100%.
we want to empower.
Yes, yes. And your international play needs to kind of expand, not necessarily having international offices and salespeople all over the world. And if you can, make the funnel in a way that anybody from Australia, UK, US can just order content online. As long as they know that, okay, like there is a general perception that the quality will not be good if it is from India, which needs to be broken on some level, right?
Exactly.
Yes, yes. I'm like a .com guy. So peppercontent.com, I think, is owned by someone else.
Yes. If anyone can help me get broker that
deal,
I'll be super excited and super grateful.
I will try for that. So one more idea, maybe this is valuable for you, maybe not, but this is something I had thought of. That a lot of businesses do not have content inspiration, and they want to invest in content marketing because at least now they understand that you can't just keep doing display ads. Such ads are a whole different thing, but yes, search ads are one thing, but you can attract the same traffic via SEO. Plus, instead of doing display ads, you can invest that money in content creation. But what do you create content about, right? So I had this idea called Content Monitor, and I even booked the domain contentmonitor.com. Basically, you put in all your competitors who are doing content marketing, and it would show you a list of all the content that they are publishing, and also build a API or something which fetches how much traction that is getting. If you integrate with Ahrefs or some other tools like SimilarWeb, you would know that how many visitors they are getting, how many social shares they have. And basically, if you can keep your clients, right, they probably want to do content marketing, but they might not be doing SEO properly, and they might not be coming up with ideas properly. But imagine so and so company and their competitor. If you tell them that, hey, this company published an article about this, and we think that it has got very good traction, 1,500 social shares, probably estimated 10,000 visitors. Why don't you also do this? And immediately they will get a FOMO, and basically suggest them to what content to, like, you showed the interface, right? They can put the project title, project brief, what count. Fact, basically let them select by giving them suggestions automatically, maybe with AI or something. And that way you are basically putting it like, when you go to the supermarket, you are checking out, you have these, things near the checkout, right? So something like that, if you add, I think you will increase your order value. So what do you think about?
You'll be very happy to know we already have something like that. In fact, let me show you that.
Okay.
This is this tool Peppertype I was talking about, right? Where it can help you generate website copy, Google ad copy, blog ideas, tweet ideas, and give you inspiration for what kind of content should you be creating. So let's create one for you. All right, let's create what should Digital Deepak be creating blogs on.
Okay.
So let's quickly get some interesting information about what kind of content do you do. So let's pick up Digital Deepak blogs about this. So let's see the kind of blog ideas it will generate for these certain keywords and other things that you play out, and it's going to be highly contextual. So look at the topics. 10 new ways to market your business online. How come Facebook is declining? A blog around social media and algorithm updates. How to be an email marketing unicorn. You have a great mailing list. New ways to integrate content with SEO. You can choose these. You can accept, save. How to get in.
I'm very curious. How does this work? Is there like a algorithm?
Yeah, so we've used OpenAI's GPT-3 technology to build this out, and this is what's seeing massive traction. In fact, we have over, I think, 25,000 plus signups till date, and it's going crazy. So I think phenomenal play here.
Nice B2B play for people to
B2C play also almost.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, even people can understand what to write on, and interesting, very interesting. Yeah. Cool. So any questions for me? Should it be just about you? Me?
No, totally, Deepak.
I mean, I think you haven't asked me any question at all. This was supposed to be like a more like a two-way podcast.
No, no, don't
Almost
worry.
felt like a interview or something where I'm like asking, hey, how did you do this? How did you do that?
I can understand. No, I think Deepak, what do you think about freelancing and the like this entire content writing space at scale? Because you've been in this space for so long now. How
Yeah.
have you seen your trend, and what do you think about companies
See,
like
more than
ours?
50% of my students, they say that their biggest opportunity or the way they make money is via freelancing. And my students end up building websites and doing SEO, sometimes doing content design. Everything is into freelancing. And see, this is like the wave that you had from 2000 to, let's say, 2010, where you had these IT companies export services and have this mass exodus of people getting hired full time in jobs. Those types of jobs are definitely going away, getting systemized or automated, and all those. Now, this is the second wave where you are getting creative work done, but obviously, you cannot set up an office and ask people, creative people, to work in your office full time. And this kind of bandwidth was also not there, even for the consumers to use the internet back in, let's say, 2000s, right? Like internet was a luxury. People had to go to cities, sit in an office, and then you had this concept like a leased line, and all those things were there. But now people have internet, people can sit and work from home. This demonetization kind of gave a boost for the entire digital payments and online e-commerce. Then people got comfortable with the whole online payments ecosystem. Then we had the lockdown happening last year, and that kind of gave a boost to this whole work from home. And now suddenly people realize that, dude, why should I travel 2 hours to go and sit in front of a computer which is connected to the internet anyway? And a lot of people now feel like it was all about power. It was all about this whole capitalistic thing that, hey, you report to me, you come to the office, you put your ID card, you punch in your thing, and this is like the industrial complex, right? This is how it is. But now companies are realizing that, hey, that was not necessary. Plus, 3 hours of productivity is what we have in corporates anyway, right? So I think freelancing is the way to go. And in fact, I had developed something called the Mass Trust Blueprint, and I will see if I can just fetch it quickly. So basically, I was like, talking to people on how do you exactly, build your personal brand, and how do you go from, one place to another. So I couldn't find it on my blog, but somebody has blogged about it. So this is the master's blueprint I developed. In fact, there is a newer version of this design wise. So basically, I say, like, this is your journey, this is how I went through my career journey, and this is how you should go. So first you learn. Once you learn, you have some skills, and then you get to work, right? So working can be full time, but more preferably freelancing. So once you gain some work experience, doesn't mean that you stop learning, you continue learning, but then you start blogging about what you have worked, and that collection of thoughts. So whatever you think, you go ahead and write it. It will kind of make your thought process refined, and everybody should blog. In fact, back in 2015, 2016, I acquired learnblogging.com. And that's where I launched my 100-day blogging course. And that was like the bestseller of 2017. That helped me go from a freelancer to a startup.
Wow.
It made like 20 lakh revenue in the very first launch.
Wow.
So blogging is something, obviously my background comes from blogging. 2008, I started blogging about motorcycles. By 2012, the blog was getting around 1 million page views a month. And at that time, you did not have these overdrives and Bike India or whatever online at all. They were not even online. They just had print magazines. So everybody who was searching for motorcycles used to land up on my site. And we used to rank number one for almost all the articles, like Royal Enfield 350cc review, Yamaha R1 review. I mean, not R1, R15 or something, right? So all those things. So I recommend people to blog because it gives you a personal brand. So my way of taking people forward is a little bit different, where I ask them to build their own personal brand and start getting projects on their own. So imagine, even if a freelancer is reaching out to people, and sending out cold emails, the client is obviously going to check out their blog. So if you have a blog, if you have a bunch of articles, so let's say we have a SEO freelancer trying to provide SEO services, he needs to have a blog where he's writing about SEO. So let's say he's providing SEO services for e-commerce websites. So 5 ways to get more SEO traffic for your e-commerce or something like that. You need to have some writing, because writing commands respect, and you can all the way take it to even publishing a book, right? A book can be a collection of blog articles. And then I recommend people to do consulting, where now that they are getting traffic to the blog, they should probably put like a link where they can give free consultations. And even when I ask people to reach out through cold emails, through potential clients, I tell them, give a Calendly link, ask them to book a call, give a free Zoom consultation, because giving consultation basically means that you are understanding the market better and providing value upfront so that the transaction becomes easier.
Yeah.
So now that you are at this level of maturity, you can start mentoring other people and start teaching other people, right? And that is something that I recommend. Like, if this blogger has, let's say 1,000 subscribers, right? They can form a small mentorship group, maybe charge, maybe not charge, but teaching forces you to learn more. I became a digital marketing expert as I kept teaching, right? 2016 to now, my expertise level has grown primarily because of teaching. Obviously, I do digital marketing as well. By the way, your story were our clients. I hope you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we used to work very closely with Shraddha, and the way it happened was that I just bumped into her in a 5-star hotel, where I actually locked myself up for 4 days in a 5-star hotel, which was ITC Gardenia, so that I can sit and create a course. So I ended up trying to finish the course. So she was just walking into the restaurant, and I said, like, this is what I do, and this is what I think your story should do. And it ended up being a 1-year contract where we built Your Story Academy from scratch, including the marketing, the funnels, and everything. It was a good journey. So, and then you eventually start up, right? So once you have your own mentorship group, you can do an agency or you can do a startup. So this is like, freelancing is going to be like one part of the journey. In this entire journey, that is how I look at it. This is how my journey was, and this is how I feel like many people's journey should be, right? So this is what I think. And when it comes to full-time jobs versus freelancing, it's definitely going to be freelancing that is going to be the next big thing, especially in India. And I'm not very bullish on Indian economic condition for the next 5 years at least. In terms of like, the economic activity is going to be a little bit slow, considering the current situation, which means that businesses within India, selling within India, are not going to perform that great. It's kind of going to be okay when the economy starts growing again. All the strong players who manage to survive will start having a boost. But at least for people, B2C, or from the perspective of my students, what they can do, I would rather recommend them to go ahead and try to have a very good presence online, a very professional presence online, and understand how to convert clients, and probably earn in dollars, right? So I think that's where the opportunity for my students is. I'm just talking from the perspective of my students. So yeah, that's my outlook right now. And dollar rates are going to go up. Rupee is going to get weaker, which is only going to encourage the exports. So that's where the opportunity is going to be for the next few years.
Right.
I mean, from India, I think you will have customers who are funded startups. But again, I see, like, because I ran a digital marketing agency, and I worked in a lot of companies as digital marketers. And apart from online education, I don't see any other industry making the unit economics work. They blame me that I'm not doing good marketing, but it's the economy, right? You can't do much. So that is my general outlook. I might be wrong, by the way, but based on what I have learned in economics, and based on the way I look at the Indian economic status right now, I feel export services are where the biggest opportunity is going to be. And I think you are on the right track, expanding Pepper content internationally.
Thanks, Deepak, for that. I think
Mhm.
very interesting view. I do disagree on a couple of things, but obviously, I think
Tell me what you disagree on. I would like to
no, I think India in
get a
itself has a
perspective.
massive potential. I think I am strongly bullish on the Indian economy,
Mm.
prima facie because it's, I think the last 5 years have seen an emergence of entrepreneurs. Like, in fact, say if someone like an Anirudh can get out of college and build out a company, I see, and even you motivating a lot of people around entrepreneurship. I think we need more of people like you also to build out, spawn new generation of creators. And creators, I think, are entrepreneurs in themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
They
as
have
long
been
as I
entrepreneurs
think
themselves.
entrepreneurial
Yes.
spirit will scale up, I
Yes.
think Indian economy in itself will scale up. So I think very
But
optimistic on
but we are
how.
also more and more becoming borderless, right? Internet is a country in itself. So
Yeah,
we can't really define that.
I think it's a
Hey, this
global
is
it's a
India and
global
this is not
play.
India.
It's a global play overall, but I think largely will continue to remain bullish on the Indian economy.
Yes, yes.
Awesome.
Cool. Yes, I am. I never hesitate to be optimistic. We should always be optimistic. But yeah, I think it was an excellent, very candid conversation, I guess. And I think you are definitely inspiring because uh, see, this is like whatever I'm doing is just pure time component involved, right? 13 years after graduation, you have to get somewhere. So I think I got somewhere. But considering that the amount of traction that you have got within 4 years of graduation and the amount of scale that you are operating on is, really, really awesome. And congrats for that and wish you Godspeed. So guys, how did you like the conversation? Let me know in the chat box. And yeah, pretty good reactions out there. We usually get like 500 to 1,000 people on mastermind calls. But today I mentioned on the email that this will be recorded and uploaded on YouTube. So the turnout was not that high. But within our student community, every week I do a webinar like this. Sometimes I talk about a topic, sometimes I bring in a guest, and we usually get around 700 to 800 people live who are like regular students. And I think the maximum I have done is around 3,000. And the recent one, I had a birthday webinar. So for my birthday webinar, I think some 2,600 people showed up live on a Zoom call. So, yeah, before we wind up talking business, so we have like, I think at least 15,000 to 20,000 students who have paid in one form or the other for, one of my courses. And so this is like 451 active subscribers, 106 million emails sent.
Oh,
And I have generated more than 1.5 million leads so far, and obviously deleted almost a million emails so far. Like month on month, we keep churning it out, inactive subscribers. So there are 451 active total subscribers right now. So I would like to do an email campaign to this entire list, telling them that, hey, check out Pepper Content, go and apply. You will get great freelancing opportunities there. So I'll just put a pin on that, and we will talk more about that. And ideally, I want to like create a case study where I'm interviewing one of the people who is working and making money on your platform. And if I do one or two case studies like that, then when I send out the mail, I can show some proof, right? Hey, look
amazing.
at this person is making like 50,000 a month or 1 lakh a month or whatever the number might be, to encourage people to sign up. And we will talk about some commercials as well there.
No, I think Deepak definitely would love to collaborate.
Yes.
In fact, we'll have some very exciting deals for your entire, network for
Yes.
Pepper Type. I think
Yes,
this
we
is
do have a lot of
very good.
B2B, customers as well who are looking for content. I constantly keep getting requests like, hey, can you refer me someone for content writing and everything? So we could talk about that as well, right? Plus, I'm Pepper content customer myself. So I will do a review that, hey, if I want content for my business, this is how I get it. Pepper content is the best. So probably do like a YouTube review on it as well.
Super, super awesome. Thank you, Deepak.
Yes.
And I think let's catch up offline and definitely,
Done. So you are in Bangalore.
I am in Mumbai.
Okay, you are in Mumbai. Fine.
Yeah, I find
Cool.
Mumbai
We will definitely catch up. Right now, I'm not even in Bangalore. I'm at Salem.
Yeah,
But,
you mentioned last time.
glad to connect online, and we will see. Next time, probably doing an event in Mumbai. I will definitely invite you as one of the speakers.
Awesome. Great, Deep.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Glad. Thank you. Chalo. Good night. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care.